Right. Yes, sir. The nature of this segue, brothers, is to talk about marriage among men and commitment, whether you be in a relationship or marriage. And a lot of times we don't have a platform for men to actually speak their mind. And Brother Marcus, I'm happy to have this brother here. And before we go on, let's introduce the whole panel. Let's start with Brother Vernon.
Starting with me, peace and blessings to everyone. I'm Brother Vernon Muhammad. I'm from Washington, D.C., right along with Brother LeVon. We got a little bit of relationship with most of the brothers on this panel, so it should be an interesting discussion, and I'm looking forward to it.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Marcus.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. And then also share your background as well, brother, because you're a very key component to this whole discussion.
Oh, man, brother, I'm so happy to be here and thankful to Allah for all of you to see you again during this COVID-19 experience. Has been a very interesting experience for me.
Yes,
I've lost a couple of family members, and I'm just very happy that I'm alive and I'm safe, and I thank Allah for that. I am a member of the Marriage Keepers. We keep marriage for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we are very thankful to Allah that we've celebrated now our 10-year anniversary of keeping couples together across the nation of Islam and throughout our community. We are trying very hard to make our word bond to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan to help in this marriage process. A lot of brothers get married.
right.
We encourage that. We encourage everybody to get married, but nobody tells you how to stay married.
Right.
And that's always that's the trump card, if you will, staying married. And so the success of family is built upon the institution of marriage, and the success of marriage is determined by a relationship to Almighty God. And so we are determined to put God back into the center of our marriages, because that's where the success is. Where we put God in the middle of the marriage, He can come in and we can have success. When He's not allowed in, then you can see the result is divorce, divorce, divorce.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people have experienced, unfortunately.
Yes. Praise be to Allah. Brother Derek, you would introduce yourself to the brother, sir?
Yes, my name is Derek. I've been friends with Brother Vaughn for we're going about 10 years now, Vaughn.
Just about, yes, sir.
And it's been a pleasurable experience. And I'm pleased to join you gentlemen and talk about this very subject that has affected me directly.
Oh, wow.
A lot. And I want to be the first to say that there's no such thing as a perfect man. All of us have faults in some degree.
Everybody.
Every brother. And that's one thing we have to be honest with. And hopefully that those who are listening know that when a man makes a mistake, you learn from it. That's part of growth.
Yeah.
And this society, and particularly the black men, it seems like when we make a mistake, they like to keep the hammer on us to show our imperfections. But the beauty about us is that a lot of us are mature enough to learn from mistakes and grow for it and build from it. And this what makes us a strong unit. So let's get into it, brothers. Brother Marcus, you mentioned something very interesting about the sanctity of marriage and between men and women. We all can admit, those of us who are married or who have been divorced, what have you, can say marriage is hard work. Why is it such a struggle, do you believe, in this day and time that marriage is so hard, especially for men with the pressures that we deal with?
I think marriage is not hard. It's the mindset that we go into marriage with.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us don't have a clue as to what the female is expecting of us, but our females today, they expect something of you when you say, I do.
Right.
They expect you to be at a certain level of existence, and a lot of times we get married, but we don't really understand what we're going to have to do to keep the woman in our how would you say, we accepted her, we joined with her, but we're looking sometimes that as a purely sexual experience, but she's looking at it, okay, I gave you some loving, but now where's the other part of that? Where's the work part? Where's the how would you say, you know, the other 23 hours of the day? What are you going to do to support me and my family? And a lot of our women have the mentality of maintain me. And I don't know if we as brothers are even thinking about doing that. A lot of us are looking for roommates, that 50-50 kind of thing, because we don't want all the weight on us when we don't know what kind of woman you are. And a lot of times that leads to trouble for us in the marriage, because we're looking at her and we're like, well, you know, you want me to do all this, but what am I getting out the deal? I'm hearing more and more brothers ask that question. What am I getting out the deal if you expect me to take care of all these bills? And when you got a black woman with you, a beautiful, positive, strong sister, you get a lot out the deal just by having her with you, having her in your corner. And I think that a lot of times we have to trust God in, if I do my part, then your part should come naturally to me as a man. And I think that a lot of us are slowing down. We're not doing our part. And that's why we're getting so much divorce in our nation of Islam, and a divorce in the black community because of default and duty. That's the main thing that we encounter as we try to help couples in 2020. That duty is defaulting in it. The man is defaulting in his duty, and the wife is defaulting in her duty. And you can't have a marriage if you're both not committed 100% to making it work. That's the main thing. You got to want to see it successful, and you got to put your effort behind that. Just like we do at a job, just like we do when we're leading a construction site or something like that. We put our main effort into it, and I don't know if we're doing that for our marriages. We have to try harder than what we are doing to keep a marriage going.
Yes, sir. Brother Derek, what's your perspective on what the brother just said? You know, we want to make sure, because, you know, the brother has some key points. What's your perspective on that, Brother Derek?
So I found it very interesting that he stated that the women have expectations of us. If we do our part, then naturally she should do her part, and things should fall into place. But my experience, I found that just did not happen. And I believe the women's mind state nowadays is different than it has been in my mother's generation, my grandmother's generation. They want to lead. I feel the roles have reversed. Their expectations are very large and grand, and they expect more. It's not even across the board. In my experience, it was not. We were not on the equal plane.
Right. Well, that is fair. He did make a good point, Brother Marcus. Everybody's circumstances is different. And we want to get Brother Ernest taking that also, because we can find a lot of key components to the why. You know, in the perfect world, we can map out how we want to sail. It's like you put an address in the GPS, you get it mapped out into that detour hits. All of a sudden, now you got to put thought into it. Now you got to put work into it. So this is what this competition is about. So, Brother Vernon, what's your perspective on that, brother?
You know, brother, you're saying that brought one phrase to mind. It came from Mike Tyson. He said, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face."
Right. Right.
Everybody has a strategy on how they're gonna win, and what it's gonna be like. Hearing my brother speak, brings certain words to my mind, and somewhere along the way, I picked up that, like Brother Marcus said, the idea of commitment. What are you committed to? That sticks out in the forefront of my mind as a vital ingredient. Also, willingness to stay the course, to endure, to overcome. Really, more so than just endure and persevere. All that stuff sounds like it's going to be torture. But if you're willing to rise and reach the goal, that's something to strive for. But and also the idea of just expectation, letting go of expectation. That gets a lot of people in trouble and plays into disappointment and the feelings that go along with that and start to seed our thoughts as we relate to marriage and as that road takes us down that dark path. So those are the things that just come to mind right off the top of the bat.
Yes, sir. So the brothers did make a very good point, Brother Marcus, in reference to one thing Brother Dirk said, that in this society, a lot of women are getting in higher positions at work and other places, having their own business. So that boss mentality sometimes doesn't be left at work where it belongs. It's brought home. So now she's managing, and now if she's not happy, like what Brother Vernon said, have certain expectations, she may feel that, hey, I got to take lead. It's not the way I want to go. And that's when that 50-50 changes. So as society altered the mindset on the roles of how men are perceived in leadership role when it comes to the home and prior to what is perceived in society?
Well, I think that I have penned a book for brothers who are still married, and the book is called Marriage Leadership: How to Lead Your Wife and Your Family During These Troubled Times,
Right.
these trying times. And I wrote this book for brothers who go through what you just described, brother. A lot of us have wives who are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a brilliant wife, you have to get out of her way and help her as she helps you. A lot of us aren't in the mindset of realizing that we have to help each other. She has to help you, and you have to help her. I'm not married for 28 years because I was doing great all the time, and this is a wonderful thing. This marriage is wonderful. I know it's hard. It's difficult to go through the challenges of marriage. And that's what marriage is made for. Marriage roots us out.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage, you have to be a strong person to be in a marriage and stay, as brother said, committed to the marriage, the committed relationship. I'm not going to allow the weakness, anything that comes into my life, to destroy my marriage with my wife. She's my partner. She's the one that I am dedicated to. A lot of us are not dedicated to anybody, anything, including our own self. That's another problem that we have. And so I think the main thing that we have to work harder on, whether your wife got a great job or she don't, you have to be a good communicator. You cannot be, as brothers, the strong, solid type in your marriage. You have an equal say as well, but you have to know that most of us as men, we don't know that we got an equal say, but you do. You have to speak up in your marriage, especially if it's your wife that we're talking about. If a couple is to live together in harmony, they must establish honest, uninhibited, and workable systems of communication. And failures and disruptions in communication are almost universal in unhappy and broken up marriages. Good communication can be learned and improved upon throughout the life of the couple. You have to talk. You have to be a good communicator. But our supreme wisdom says that the average man speaks just 400 words well. Out of a 50 to 60,000 word dictionary, he only knows 400 to 500 words. And most of those is small words like is and the and go and stop. We have to improve our vocabulary to be able to communicate with our wives and our children a lot more than what we do. We can no longer sit back and let the marriage happen to us. We must be an active part of the marriage. And then we will be able to have good discussions, especially when your wife is earning more than you're earning. But that's not a bad thing. You know, you have to say, praise be to Allah, I'm glad that you are making money now. And use the money to help us. That's a beautiful thing when she has the understanding to help us. Not to hold, I'm a hold back on it because it's your responsibility to take care of the family. No, well, I was doing that. But now I'm not able to do that as much as I would like to. Can you help out more than what you were doing? And if you got a good woman, she definitely wants to help you get to the top of your game again. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. Right now, I'm in school. Trying to pursue my degree to get me a bachelor's degree in psychology on my way to getting a doctorate in psychology. I know that I can no longer do this with being Brother Marcus, this great person. Oh, he speaks so wonderfully. You know, people are so excited. But they say, do you have a degree, Brother Marcus? That's what they ask me, brother. They say, are you degreed? And I say, nope, I'm not degreed. They say, oh. That's what they say. They say, oh. You know, because you have to have some credentials behind your name if you're going to get success in 2020, 25, 30. We have to, as men, say to ourselves, as you said, Brother LeVon, what are my shortcomings? What can I improve over the next 5 years? What can I get better at? The idea is to get better as you go through marriage. If you had some issues on the front end, the first 5 years, well, then you have to say, well, the next 5 years from 5 to 10, the 10-year mark, I'm going to improve in these areas. That's why we have the marriage retreats. The marriage retreats are designed to help us get better.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to say this, Brother Marcus, because one thing I want to make sure is that we understand that there's different dynamics in this paradigm, because we do have brothers who are doing the right thing.
Right.
And they may come across those challenges
right.
on the other end, because we are talking about love is duty on both ends. It's 50-50 because there's a responsibility to make one union. And I want to just bring this to Brother Derek's end, where do you feel that you gave your 100% in your marriage, and therefore do you see where you could have room to improve, or do you feel that you give it 100%? So I'm going to speak for myself real quick. I always say, before I address my wife, I want to make sure, did I give my 100%? Mm-hmm. If I didn't, I got to be honest and say, you know what, I could have went a different direction. So I'm going to ask Brother Derek the same question. Do you feel in your marriage, do you feel that you gave your 100%, or where there's room for improvement?
There should always be room for improvement in any relationship, especially a marriage. Yes, you continue to grow for however long you're together or married, first of all. So yes, I could always improve. I felt a challenge. I felt I was challenged well into the relationship. I feel like my situation is probably not unique, but there were signs way ahead of time that I may have been not on the same, my wife and I were not on the same page. Right. We attended marriage counseling classes through a church. And of course, the deacon referenced the leave to cleave scripture.
Right.
And my wife, my then girlfriend, fiance, proceeded to challenge the deacon on that scripture.
Right. That
was a sign. And I didn't take heed to it.
What did she have an issue with?
She's not a subservient woman. She was not willing to follow. She was as a leader, and she wanted to lead in a relationship. She wanted to tell me how to protect the family. She wanted to tell me how to divide the finances, apply the finances. The challenges were met very early on in the relationship, and it declined from there. So I to answer your question directly, I did put a lot of effort into it, from advice through my mother and my father, who consequently were divorced, unfortunately. But I was given really good advice that you need to compromise. We were talking, Brother Vernon was talking about expectations and roles and certain words that pertain to this subject, and the willingness to compromise
Right.
is very important. My father instilled that into me. It's no longer, once you get married, it's no longer an I, it's a we.
So we.
We have to work together. We have to compromise. We have to talk, work out our problems together. And that just didn't happen on a regular basis. And that's what led to the demise of my relationship, unfortunately.
Yes, sir. Brother Vernon, do you feel that you gave your 100%, or was there room for improvement? One of the things Brother Derek said, which was key, was communication. I think Brother Marcus mentioned that as well, as far as us to have effective communication. Do you feel that you gave 100% in your marriage? And was there room for improvement on your end in reference to could have been saved? Because a lot of those questions do come up when we end a relationship. What could have I done differently? So what do you say to that, Brother Vernon?
Man, that, again, sayings pop in my head all the time. There's layers to this stuff. But the hindsight is always going to be so accurate and so pinpoint. Looking back, one of the valuable lessons that I learned, at this point, looking back, is that I was putting 100% into the wrong stuff. I thought I was working on what needed to be worked on at the time. I thought that I was focusing on what needed to be focused on at the time. But looking back, the perspective is just so different. And coming from that, I can always see different areas that if I had focused on this, it may or it may not have made a difference, but I was shown what was deficient, what needed to be worked on. I don't know if that was the key, but something that Brother Derek said has reminded me of another valuable lesson, and maybe you all can attest to this or show me if it's true for you.
Right.
I will raise my hand and take the oath, but as I look back, every time that I found an experience that I shouldn't have or wish I didn't go through, there was a sign early on that let me know, nah, this is not right for you, or this is not going to be good for you. And for whatever reasoning, sometimes it was to be no, I don't want to be judgmental, I don't want to be throwing the towel, whatever the case may be. I went along with it against better judgment. But like the brother said, I think and I believe that there's always a sign, and where I have run into trouble in relationships is when I ignored the sign.
Yes, sir. So, Brother Marcus, that's a key word right there, ignoring the signs. And I know in the nation, we go through a courtship. And even when you don't have to be in a nation, if you're just dating somebody, and we ignore those signs, but we go against the grain, because sometimes certain key words, like what Brother Derek said, there's certain things that gave up a clue that maybe his ex-wife's personality was not meshed with his. Sometimes that happened. Maybe her personality was great for somebody else who don't mind someone being bossy. But certain men, we draw the line across the sand depending on how you made. So what is it? How important is it for us to look at the signs from a man's perspective before we take on that responsibility? Because once you say I do, that's a whole different ballgame once you sign that dotted line. Yes. So how important is those signs, Brother Marcus?
Oh my God, brother. Warning signs are everything.
Yes, sir.
When you're driving on the road and that light is flashing,
yes,
it's
sir.
telling you caution, caution, caution. Or it might be a red light, a big blaring red light. Stop, stop, stop. It's telling you something for you to pay attention to. And a lot of us, we like to be speed demons on that road. We don't like to stop. We don't like to stop, especially when our heart is involved.
Right.
And we find that, oh my God, I like this girl. Ooh, woo! I can imagine what it's going to be like to be with her.
Right.
And that will definitely mess you up. That's why the nation of Islam got a no-sex policy. At least we're supposed to have a no-sex policy, because Minister Farrakhan teaches us very aptly, very wisely, that when sex is involved in it, it's an intoxicant, and it takes your mind completely away from seeing any of their small faults.
Right.
You don't see none of them because you've already sampled the goods. And a lot of us are sampling the goods out here. That's why we get married and making poor choices with our respected person that we are getting with. I would say to you, don't ignore the warning signs, brother. I think a lot of us, I'm listening to brothers very carefully, they saw a warning sign and they ignored it. They said, I can deal with this. I can handle this.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a Symbis report that we do with couples all the time. Me and my wife, we sit here and we counsel couples all day long, and they fill out this form, and it has 18 pages, and one of the pages got warning signs on it.
Right.
Warning signs that you're going to be in some trouble down the road if you keep on pursuing this. And a lot of us say, nah, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right. Because that's the way we are trained.
Yeah.
We're thinking that I can be all right with this, but everybody is a little crazy in 2020. It just comes down to how much craziness can you take.
Right. That is the key word. How much craziness can you take?
Hey, it's not a matter of you. Is she not gonna be crazy? She crazy. I'm telling you straight up, she crazy already.
Right.
But now, when you get to see the full range of her craziness, are you able to take that?
Right.
And I can tell you, brother LeVon, that from the different counseling sessions that me and my wife have been through, we have found, and my wife always makes a point to make this point known to the brother. She asked one question: did you see that behavior in courtship?
Right.
And the brother always says, I saw it in courtship. I thought I could handle it.
Or you could change her.
Or I could change it. And a lot of us get married. That's the main thing. We get married thinking, I can change that.
Right.
But you can't change nobody but yourself.
Right.
And so we encourage you to ask yourself, when you see something that's a warning sign to you, are you going to act like you didn't just see what you saw? Are you going to play yourself? Because it's a hard thing when you have deceived yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You've deluded yourself into thinking that really wasn't that bad.
Right.
See, loneliness is a hell of a thing, brother.
Yes,
when
sir.
you lonely and you just want somebody to be in your life, you'll put up with some of anything. Maybe they can beat me a little bit, just a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It ain't that bad. It don't hurt that much. See, this is what we're doing to ourselves. We're deluding ourselves for companionship.
Right.
Deluded ourselves.
You know, deluding. I just want you to think about that, because it's a hell of a thing to be in a relationship with somebody that you discovered was crazy along the way, and now you feel like you're stuck with this person and their craziness.
Right.
One thing I learned from Les Brown is sort of my mentor too. He said, you're not stuck with crazy. He said that. You are not stuck with crazy. And when you realize you with a crazy person, a person who don't have no regard for your mind, your thinking, your way, that's a sign that you don't need to be with that person. A lot of times that's the thing, people out here are so selfish. They don't care about nobody else's feelings. A lot of people today, and that's why I wouldn't want to be single, brothers, for God knows, I'm telling you, I would not want to be single because a lot of us are sociopaths. We are crazy to the nth degree. And again, it's gonna come down to how much craziness can I stand? Am I crazy too? Yeah, you are crazy too.
Crazy, accepting crazy. But
No one escapes.
No one escapes. You're in an insane place. America is insane. How could you come out of it with nothing in them? Nothing bothers me. I'm straight. I'm straight. Everybody else crazy. Nope, everybody crazy.
yes, sir. So my question is, and the key thing you said, because I think out of the four of us, two of us are still married, and I believe Brother Vernon and Brother Derek are only the two brothers who are single in reference to being divorced and been married before. So, but it is natural, we can say that every man wants companionship because the world that you live in, you would like to, after you dealt with the craziness and you got over it, what have you, but going into it, because it still requires work when you meet somebody. So I'm asking Brother Derek and Brother Vernon a question. Do you know the difference between lust and love? And do you understand the definition of that love is duty? So when those words come to mind, what
And love, the difference between lust and love. You can lust after, in reference to directly to a woman. You could lust after a woman. You just want her for her, what she looks like, what she smells like, what she feels like,
right?
her attributes, her physical attributes. Has no real substance. That's secondary.
Yes, sir.
But you can fall in love. You can fall in love with that woman's character, how she carries herself, how she speaks, how she treats you, how she treats people that are with you, your mother, your father, friends, family.
Right.
Just to have some character to her, and that is what you fall in love with. That's what I look for. That's what I've looked to fall in love with. That's what I thought I had. She was very personable. She spoke well. She was extremely intelligent. She carried herself well. She was very sophisticated, well traveled. But that didn't. Again, there was a mask there, and that didn't translate into the relationship ultimately.
Yes, sir.
But I did not initially lust after her. I was truly intrigued by her and interested in her. It was her personality after a period of time that showed me that she was not who I met. But those are, to me, those are the difference.
Yes, sir. Praise be to God. Brother Vernon, same question. No difference between lust and love, because being a natural man and the temptations out here, and of course we can say lust has gotten a lot of brothers in trouble. But for you, I can't speak for you. The difference between lust and love in this day and age, brother.
The difference to me, the
Yes, sir.
difference between lust and love is the difference between want and need.
Mm.
When I think of things, people, women, whatever the case may be, if my thinking is I want that, then there's a whole list of words that go along with that, feeling and all these things that are kind of superficial.
Right.
Feelings are important, but if I'm just operating off of want, I'm not taking into consideration, is this good for me? Is it what I need? Sometimes what I need has no feeling associated with it. It's just, I need this. It's required in order for me to progress. So lust is on that want, superficial side. Love, as I've come to understand it now, being in the teachings and especially with the things that this conversation being more prevalent now, love is more about duty. It's more about obligation. It's more about handling what needs to be handled, whether I feel like it or not. And one valuable lesson for me along the way was learning that just because you love someone doesn't mean all these other aspects of feelings have to go with it. What that means to me is there was an automatic thing where, okay, you're going to have to marry someone who's walking the same path that you're walking. And in my mind, that's just, what it was all about. And there are some relationships, there are some people in my community that this is not meant for me to marry just any and every woman that's in my community. There's a difference, but I can love every person in my community because I have a duty and an obligation to everybody in my community. So the two have to be separated. I have to be able to let go of lust in order to really, truly love. That's just what makes sense in my mind.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Now, this is on to our close. I want to ask all the brothers this, and I'm going to start with Brother Marcus. Something Brother Derek was speaking about, reference to his then wife, how, she was traveled, highly intelligent. And we also spoke about how some women are doing great for themselves. And that's a beautiful thing. We're not knocking it. But in the Quran, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his first wife, Khadijah, was very wealthy. But that didn't matter to him because it mattered to her because there was something about him, his commitment, his deity, and his loyalty to God. And everybody, no matter what you call your God, but how important is it for a man to make sure that God is his foundation, how strong his foundation is? Because I believe that the stronger that we get in our foundation with God, materialistic things have no boundaries on us. We stand a certain ground, and by nature, I believe, and I could be wrong because there's no women in this panel, but I believe that if a man is strong in his beliefs, he's strong in his principles, it doesn't matter what a woman makes, what kind of occupation she has. If she sees a man that's God-fearing and he sticks to that can give him some leverage. So what do you say to that, Brother Marcus?
Well, I think that we have to love God and we have to get closer to God before we get with any female out here.
Yes, sir.
Because if a man is not wrapped up in God, a female will destroy him.
Agreed.
So you got to have God in your life, and you have to have God as the one that you lean on. Mariah Carey asked the question. She said, who am I going to lean on when times get rough? Who's going to talk to me till the sun comes up?
Right.
That was what she asked. And, we have to say as men, who am I going to lean on when times get rough for me? Times have been very rough for me, but I go to God. That's who Farrakhan told me to go to when times get rough. And a lot of times when a woman, who are you going to take her to as your source of strength?
Right.
Who are you going to say, this is who I go to when times get very rough for me? I go to the rock of my salvation. God is everything to me. See, women want to hear that, but then they're going to try you on that. Are you going to go to God or are you going to come to me? See, Minister Farrakhan said if there was no God, we would be found worshiping women. We would be found worshiping them because a lot of times as men, we turn to women for every little thing. But when she sees you leaning on God for your sustenance or your strength, then she knows that you are going to anchor her in God because she's going to be following you, because she's going to be following you to God. And that's what they have to see. And that's what we have to show them, brother.
Praise be to God. Brother Derek, that's the reason I wrote that question because you mentioned beforehand that you went to the deacon in reference to counseling. And that was something I was wondering, was that question presented to you on how would you lead and what would be your foundation? As Brother Marcus said, a man that's strong in his faith and strong with God, naturally a woman would submit unless she is so worldly. She has no business getting married, period. She should have said, no, this is not for me. He's too grounded in God. So I can't do nothing for him if she's that in love with the world. So that could have been a way out. So my question to you, good brother, is how anchored do you think that that question could have been composed to you? This is a learning process, and maybe that may help out in the future tense when you decide to move forward. Because I know in your circumstances, you, my friend, you have children, and that's a big responsibility to be careful of who you bring around them.
Yeah.
So how strong do you believe that your foundation should be with God, good brother?
My foundation, I was anchored, Brother Vaughn. I was when I moved here
Yes, sir.
to join my then girlfriend, we ended up joining a church.
Yes, sir.
Same church that we took the marriage counseling course with the deacon. We became very close with the pastor of the church. I committed a lot of time to the church. I committed a lot of time to the people, the congregation. You know, I was baptized ultimately at that church.
Yes, sir.
I gave myself fully. I was completely entrenched and willing to take what I've learned in the church, from the pastor, the guidance that I got from the deacons and the elders of the church, and apply it to my marriage. So it obviously was very important to me. It was a tool that I was willing to use, and I tried to use, but it just proved to be too challenging. She was just not a follower, even though she's well versed in religion, of all aspects of religion. But it just did not translate into the marriage.
You know what? That's something he said very, very key, and I'll get to you, Brother Veronica. I know you have to leave. Disappointment. We speak about that all the time, whether it be in the community or in the nation. Disappointment is one of the biggest trials that we have, because we're going with certain expectations, and you believe you're following everything that's supposed to follow, but when things don't go your way, for myself, I know when stuff like that happens, when I get disappointed, I know there's a lesson somewhere I missed out on to why I'm disappointed. It's something, because everything is not always textbook. You know, the literature could be there, but this is why it's always important for us when we read it to understand key words, so we have a more in-depth understanding of what it is, so it doesn't be substantial. Because if we're just going through the motions, disappointment is bound to come naturally. So I'm gonna move on to that question. Is Brother Derek made some great points, and even with us following what we believe the guidelines is disappointment like an end of being, Brother Brennan, to when you say, no, I did all I can, I'm disappointed and I'm frustrated, I'm done with it. So how important is it to learn those lessons when you're dealing with a time of trial and disappointment?
Disappointment. That's another valuable lesson that has a lot of focus on it now.
Yes, sir.
Disappointment is something that each one of us, every individual, has to learn to get over if we're going to grow up. Children and immature people revel in disappointment. You know, you snatch a candy from a child, they're going to fall down and scream and cry, might wet themselves, all types of stuff, because they're disappointed. But in a relationship, disappointment is something that you might visit a lot, but you have to learn to let it go. You have to learn to let it go. Only you can control whether you're going to stay disappointed or not. You're going to get disappointed. You don't have to stay disappointed.
Praise be to God. What's your fall on that, Brother Marcus? Disappointment is a key factor, especially in relationships, because in the reading that I sent you, one of the things that the ministers wrote about was desires, temptations of the world. And sometimes when you're dealing with disappointment, you're not happy, you start comparing notes. You know what I'm saying? It might be somebody at the job who talks to you a little better, might look a little better, smell a little good. You know, those disappointments, man, you start wondering, is the grass really greener on the other side? That's a natural thought for those who are dealing with frustration. So when a man is dealing with those disappointments and those frustrations, and we did speak being anchored in God, what are some good tools that a man should normally turn to outside of prayer? 'Cause that's a key component, but what is a good tool that brothers could be using, Brother Marcus?
Well, I would say this because there is nothing like disappointment in love. There's nothing like it. And when you are disappointed by love, Minister Farrakhan teaches us that that breaks you so completely, like something that is a sore or a callus, and you harden under that. And you got to be very careful of being disappointed by love. Some people, after they get divorced, they never get back out there and try again because they're so hurt by what that other person did. They say to themselves, I don't want to feel what that felt like again. And so they don't even try again. So I want you to know, Brother LeVon, that when you get disappointed, we're not going to say pray, but prayer is the answer.
Yes, sir.
Because you have to talk to God about your disappointments.
Yes, sir.
You have to talk honestly with God because Minister Farrakhan has taught us that God will answer us out of the whirlwind. A lot of times when we get disappointed, we have to talk to God and really, them Christian singers, they sing a beautiful song about talk to you and ask you for your guidance, especially today when life seems a little bit hard. That's my sister. She sings that beautiful song. And I'm telling you, brother, that I know we can go to each other, but the best one to go to is God, who is the author of all that we experience and ask him to help us to get through it. Because disappointment is overwhelming to us, and it can extinguish the desire even of our faith in God because we were disappointed. Mm-hmm. It's a very deep thing to experience disappointment with someone that you love. And sometimes they do it purposefully. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to disappoint you. Mm-hmm. You were believing in me so strong, and I wanted to show you that you should not believe in nobody this strong. They disappoint you. You have to have an anchor. That's why I'm saying the anchor got to be there, because no matter what you do to me, I got a God that will never frustrate me or disappoint me. And that is my security when you have God in your life for real, not because of anything other than he is your God and he is like a coat that you put on and no one can take your coat from you. Nobody. Yeah. That's a good feeling when God is your anchor and your strength.
Yes, sir. So out of respect for time, brothers, I would love to do a part 2 for this. But, this topic can go on for hours, but we want to respect the time because this is good for men to talk and open up. You know what I'm saying? And this is the beauty of brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Where you can talk to those with sincere concern for one another. And every brother on here, I sincerely care about your well-being. I pray that you feel likewise towards me. And I was sharing with my wife about this kind of topic. It's like, it's one thing to have a couples discussion, you know what I'm saying? But when you have other couples on there, you don't want to be that dude. Everybody's looking at like, oh, dang, I ain't that bad. You don't want to be that. But when you talk among men, it's a whole different ball game because we keep it 100 with each other because there's no layers there. We're not trying to put on facade. We're not trying to impress because there's a woman on the other side or your wife is sitting next to you and you don't want to talk with the way you want to. You know what I'm saying? Because, we play that very wisely. But I would love to have another segment, but I want to get some closing words. I'll start with Brother Marcus, and then I'll start with Brother Derek, and then we're in with Brother Vernon because I want to respect my brother's time. He has another appointment he has to get to. So, Brother Marcus, in closing, brother.
Well, I want to say to you, brother, and to all my brothers, thank you for the opportunity to be on this call with you. I certainly am very grateful to Almighty God for this opportunity. And again, we do counseling for different people. We do counseling for you. If you find your tenderoni that's right for you, and you need some counseling, well, we counsel and we will find out, brother, if she got a problem with accepting your authority. That is a deep question that you have to find out before you get married to her, because a lot of times they hide that they act like they're going to be very submissive, but then when you marry them, you find a whole other thing waiting for you after you get married. And so the sessions that we do for couples are and people who are courting, we do a wonderful sessions. We have 6 of them that we do that are designed to help find out any issues that might be potential issues that you might have to go through in your marriage. And for married couples, Brother LeVon, we got this wonderful thing that we do called the Symbis Assessment, and it is powerful because even if you've been married for a while, the Symbis Assessment will help you to find out what kind of attitude that you came into your marriage with.
Mm-hmm.
Did you come in it with the resolute mindset, or did you come in it with the ambivalent mindset? What kind of mindset did you show up to marriage with? And it is so powerful. We got 18 pages that we give back to you, and you will be blown away. Everybody who takes the assessment with us says it's so accurate. They didn't even know that they were filling it out, and it was going to give them back so much information. And I'm just letting you know that if you would like one, brother, we have that service now available for you and for other my brothers down there. Anything that you can do, I'm always here to help you, to be accessible to you. Thank you all so much. May God bless you all.
Praise be to
And
Allah.
let me give you my number. I'm 770-256-8856.
One more time, brother.
770-256-8856. And I would be honored to serve in any capacity. And my website is www.themarriagekeepers.com. Again, that's www.themarriagekeepers.com. That's where you can get my books, my CDs, and tapes. Thank you, Brother LeVon.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Derek, in closing there, brother. First, I want to say to you, Brother Derek, this brother right here, he's a good brother to me. You know what I'm saying? And I work with this brother, like I said, and and it's been times we chop it up. And, I like dealing with sincere men, and that's how you grow. And, when you find that in a brother, you know what I'm saying, that's something that you don't take lightly. And I invite the brother, you know what I'm saying, he don't question my beliefs. I'm saying, like, I don't question his, but we try to find the best in one another so we can grow. You know what I'm saying, I can learn from him and vice versa, but that's how we elevate. And this is what our Islam teaches us. You know what I'm saying? And I want to thank the brother for taking the time out to be a part of this conversation. And the brother has come out on numerous occasions in the community to actually see what we do. And he's seeing firsthand. These are the things that we do every Monday at a men's class, Brother Derek, where we have these conversations so there's a balance. So none of us are going through those problems. And these brothers here, we're trained to pull each other in when we start going too far to the right and too far to the left. So thank you for being part of the program, brother. So the floor is yours. What's the closing words for you, good brother?
Well, I appreciate those kind words, and likewise, I do appreciate being able to be honest with you when we do chop it up. Occasionally, we have very honest, deep conversations. I appreciate this platform that you've offered today.
Yes,
I was initially a little gun shy about doing this because I didn't, as I said to you, to Brother Vaughn, I said, I don't know what I have to offer. And he said, well, you were married, right? I said, yeah, I was. So we all have something to offer in this conversation. Because it was not successful, I believe, because I felt my marriage was not successful, I felt I had nothing to provide. But this has been therapeutic
Yes, sir.
for me, and to hear other people's perspective, whether in a successful relationship or marriage, or has been in a challenging relationship. It's important to have that conversation, so you can pick pick the brains of people that have gone through all types of experiences in relationships. So I appreciate this platform. It was a better experience than I expected, because I didn't know what I would be able to contribute. But I appreciate all the brothers' input and enlightenment.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And the legendary brother Vernon, in closing, good brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for as the brother said, for having this platform where conversations like this can take place. I'm trying to learn and go back and pick up lessons that I should have learned, and I have not given up hope. So my prayer is that all the brothers who may eventually see this, don't give up hope in yourself. If the key to all of this is self-improvement and working on how we can refine and do it better next time, let's grab a hold to that lesson, and don't give up hope on marriage, period, because something so beautiful is in store. If we can get our minds wrapped around how to do it better, then the future is only going to be bright. So visit the website, www.themarriagekeepers.com, and let's get right together.
Yes, sir. And I want to say once again in closing, thank you, good brothers, for being part of this program. I look forward to having many, many more, God willing. And like I said, I always start with myself always, that I'm not 100% perfect. I like to learn. And when we can learn as men, that is therapeutic for me. I learned a lot from my father. I was blessed to have a good father and other good men, growing up. So you learn those tools, that you surround yourself with good brothers. And when we can add more brothers to the circle, that only makes 360 degrees much stronger as we elevate. So thank you, good brothers. And inshallah, we have more topics coming up. And I look forward to many more. So may God continue to bless you. Please be safe. And like Brother Marcus has said, let's keep God anchored. Because as black men in this society, we got to have God anchored at all given times. Let's not fall into temptation. Submission is the highest form of obedience. And we should strive the best that we can. And Brother Derek, whatever you learned in the church, that God is the foundation, brothers, stick to that. And that goes for all of us, man. Disappointment is something else. And that's just one way that Shaitan uses to get into our inner beings. When disappointment hits, we want to give up. Quitting should never be an option. So that's my platform, good brother. So thank you for being here. May God continue to bless you, and please be safe. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Wow. Good evening.
Yes, sir, brothers.